Mhm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this amazing conversation on receiving and entities. And how did we get so lucky to have Dr. Anthony Mattis here with us today, ready to have a conversation on a topic that a lot of people seem to avoid, just the entity conversation in general. And then you add in receiving, and it's a whole other ballgame. So, Dr. Anthony, can you tell us, like, what is it about this conversation with entities that you think that people avoid it so much?
Oh my God, what isn't there? It's like just about everything. We could just start from religious point of view. We'll just start there, even if you're not someone who's deeply into a particular religion right now, but certain religions like forbid you to talk to entities that are outside of, let's say, the one that you're supposed to be worshiping, right? Anything outside of that particular paradigm or box, the point of view in some religions would be you're opening up yourself to demon attacks, the devil, or you'll end up going down some sort of path where you'll never be able to return from, maybe even demon possession. So you have those types of points of views, and even people who aren't that religious, but yet they maybe it's like somehow weirdly built into a lot of our DNAs to have the certain fears about the unknown. So just in general, humans have fear about the unknown in general with the physical world. Now you're starting to talk about things that we can't really, necessarily see with our five senses. I mean, some people have the capacity to actually see ghosts and whatnot. We all have the ability to perceive, know, be, and receive the spirit world as we do the physical world, but that's not something that we're sort of trained to do. Nobody's really like teaching us how to develop this sort of extra sense, if you will, except for really the tools of access consciousness and then talk to the entity. So I would say that would be like the biggest one is like the fear of the unknown and what that would create if you're doing it outside of a particular religious paradigm. So there's that. Um, a lot of people also have the point of view that and again, there's not everybody believes in the spirit world. A lot of people think that this is what we have, and when you die, that's it. So I'm not even talking about those folks, but um, you know, a lot of us are like, well, if we're semi open to this sort of conversation, most of us have this point of view like, well, I don't really have a gift in this area. It's not really a capacity, maybe other people see ghosts and all that, and I'm willing to pay them a few dollars to talk to my dead grandmother or my dead grandfather or my mom or something like that, but it's not really something that I can explore, which is another lie. So you have that. You have just all these myths, right, that are attached to a lot of fear and a lot of drama and trauma. And those people tend to also look at the spirit world, not all, but like a lot of us, just the bad parts of it, the ones that are evil, the ones that are demonic, the ones that are always trying to attack you or stop you from creating your life. No one ever talks about the yummy ones. No one's really putting their attention on our teammates, or some religions will refer to them as the guardian angels. I'm like, what about the ones that want to contribute to you? There's a whole infinite amount of them. There's plenty of them that want to contribute to you. So that's one of the first questions I ask in my entity class. And like, how come you guys never pay attention to the ones that actually desire to contribute to you? Because there's a lot of those too. Everybody's always having conversations about the ones that are stopping them or doing psychic attacks or black magic and all the superstitions. And so that's another big reason. Superstitions right there. Bam.
Yeah.
I could never receive from the spirit world. There's too many superstitions. And it's almost like people have this point of view that they'll be poisoned forever if they received from an entity. And but you know what? We have those points of view about receiving from people with bodies. What does this person want from me that wants to contribute to me? Why are they being so nice to me? This is too good to be true. They're going to want something from me that I won't be able to deliver. Fuck that. I'm not even going to have them in my life. Go away. Right? So we, as a people with bodies or as entities with bodies, we have a difficult time receiving, period. Just in general. And then when you just add in the unknown realm, then that just gets amplified by, again, all the points of view that exists in all the different facets, religion, metaphysics, philosophical points of view, and, and TV, all the drama and trauma you see on TV with regards to, the spirit world.
Thank you so much for that. As you were talking, like what was coming up is how we tend to go to what's heavy, the negative, the problem, the trauma
Totally.
drama, like the bad stuff that's going to happen. Like, what is it about that you think we're oriented to go there rather than this whole infinite field of possibilities that's available?
That's a great question. I don't. This whole our whole reality has been built on fear, and you turn on the TV, it's everything. If you go into the media for any kind of information, most of it is fear based. It's not about possibilities. It's about
Mhm.
fear, right? And it's to create a lot of polarity as well. So if you're constantly in polarity of what's right and wrong, what's good and what's bad, and fear, that doesn't sound like being empowered. That doesn't sound like communion and oneness and consciousness and talking about possibilities. It's all about fear and create polarity to basically suppress people, from my point of view, and oppress people while everybody else up there are laughing at the rest of us for being idiots. That's my point of view, So they get to, get all fat and happy, and while everybody else is freaking out how they're gonna get through each day of their life. But to me, this is what I've learned, and without going into my story, if we knew how to receive, period, not
Mm.
just from people with bodies, but basically from the world around us, okay? And that includes other dimensions and other realities that we may not even know about, at least consciously. All right. If we can receive from everything and everyone, including beings without bodies, without a point of view, then we access all energies. And as we access all energies, there's nothing that we can't create. There's nothing that we can't be. There's nothing that we can't change. But when you have a point of view of who, what, where, when, and how you can receive from, you've actually just limited your possibilities. You just created your own limitation. So I had like 20 million things that just popped into my mind and I forgot them all. So keep asking me. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it.
This is such a beautiful, expansive conversation so far. So for those of
Oh,
us,
yeah, I
oh, go
remember.
ahead.
I remember. I
Oh, go,
remember.
go.
And to add to what I just said, if we had the ability to receive from all things, there'd be a lot less suicide in this world. And I'm skipping to that topic because a lot of you may know, like, my first wife committed suicide. She struggled with mental illness ever since she was a teenager. I knew that going into the relationship. I struggled personally with the fifth element, which is the savior of mankind. So I was back in those days, I was doing the metaphysical stuff. I was like, come, my hair was like down to here. I'm like, come to my Rays of the Dawn book meeting on the laws of the body, mind, and soul. And I think I may want to date you, but I know I could at least help you. So just jump on this journey here and you will be healed and delivered. And she would do really well for long periods of time, but bipolar is a fucking tricky thing. And a lot of mental illness is actually um, indicative of a lot of entity awareness. And when we run and hide from our awarenesses in general, not just even with regards to the spirit world, but with any kind of awarenesses, it creates either physical pain and suffering or mental pain and suffering. Because when you avoid energies, you have to go into contraction. And when you go into contraction, that's not a space of ease for our body. And it takes us out of possibilities and creating our bodies in a way that's actually strong and healthy and prosperous in so many ways, in a body that's thriving. So what I'm about to say is that if she was able to receive from the spirit world, she wouldn't have killed herself, because one of the reasons why she was saying that she was trying to do it was because she felt like there was a demon inside of her. And that at that stage in our journey, we were Christians, right? So, and the Bible promises you that if you accept Jesus, you have the blood of Christ that protects you from those sorts of things. In fact, there was many verses where, Jesus would cast out demons out of people all the time. So, like, her point of view is like, well, I guess I'm damaged goods if God's not going to cast a demon out of me. So she's like, why should I be here and put Anthony and the kids through this? So she's like, I'm taking myself out because I don't want to have to live this way for the rest of my life. That was her point of view. So if we were allowed as Christians to communicate and receive from things outside of just the Holy Spirit, right? Or just Jesus, and if you're Catholic, you get to receive from all the saints and the Virgin Mary. I can only speak to this particular thing because that was like what I did. I can't speak, to the other religions and stuff. But she would have had different points of view. She wouldn't have been in this space of hopelessness. So I have a really like strong conviction about the benefits of receiving from the spirit world and receiving in general, because I believe it can save people's lives.
That's
And
always
it's not because the entity saved your life or anything like that. No, you have to make the choices. They're there to contribute to you. And no, the devil didn't make you do it. That's a big bunch of bullshit too. However, you can have what we call demon augmented occurrences. It's like where you make choices along the way and you kind of open up the door for some demonic shit, just by being a judgmental asshole, number one, and being unconscious and anti-conscious. Then you let some unfriendly critters into your universe, and then all of a sudden you're making choices like where you're like, what? How did that happen? Right. And but that's only when you've made certain things greater than you. And that's what she did. She made that world greater than her. And if Jesus couldn't protect her, then she must be damaged goods or a lost soul. So she took herself out. She took herself out to set us free, which was interesting. And in some aspects, she did. I hate to say that, but she did set us free in a lot of ways, and we've made the best out of it as a family. And the kids and I are going to talk about that in an upcoming call that I'm doing with my children 12 years later after we started Access. So that's another topic for another day. But yeah, this can save people's lives, y'all. That's the bottom line. Especially for those of you who know you have a capacity in this area, but you're sort of like plagued by it and burdened by it. We can change it, or the tools of Access can change it by your willingness to choose and receive.
I love the beauty in that whole conversation, like the power of choice, right? What we choose to allow in our lives or not allow in our lives, the awareness we choose to have, how we choose to receive or not receive. And even like with death, like even though she was struggling with what we know to probably be entity awareness, and not having the tools to contribute to having greater ease in that area, like the beauty in her choice to choose to go to create ease for you all, and the kindness in that and the potency in that, it's like, and everything everyone else has been able to receive all around the world as a result of then the future choices you made.
Yeah.
Connected to that. So that choice, that thing we all
Yeah.
avoid so much, there's so much beauty and power in it.
And you just opened up a can of worms, because I could hear maybe not people's heads on this call, but just like out there, like, how could you say suicide's the solution and the answer? And we're not saying that at all. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a choice. And it's like one of those things where it's like a double-edged sword, so to speak. It's like, I know that had she stayed alive long enough and we found Access, she'd be alive today. I have no doubt in my mind about that. And at the same time, we made the best out of her choice. And it was funny because right before I started Access, it was actually around the same week that Dane had called me in my chiropractic office, and I hadn't even been to an Access class yet. I actually sent him an email thinking that Access was a very small company. And I'm like crying as I'm sending the email and telling him my whole life story. But he actually called me in my chiropractic office about a week and a half later. And he's like, dude, I just want you to know the universe has your back. And I'm like, what do I do? I don't know what to do first. He's like, just get yourself to a bars class first. And then, but then like a couple of days later, I called like a psychic medium, right? And I'm like, can you like, I didn't say anything actually. This was actually quite miraculous because she's like, she started asking me questions and it was all on the phone. And she's like, how old are you? She's like, you sound really young. And I'm like, I'm at the time, what was I, 41 at the time. And I'm like, she's like, are you a widower? She just like went right for it. And I'm like, yeah. I go, that's why I'm calling. And I was like, all right, this lady's pretty good. I mean, how the fuck would she know that, right? And she goes, oh my God, she's really talkative. And I'm like, totally. She could talk forever and ever and ever. And I'm like, can you just ask her why she did it, even though I probably already know the answer? And she said that number one, like wherever she was pretty fucking awesome. But number two, that she says that she can be more of a contribution to us, the family, from there than she would have had she stayed. Again, this is not to say suicide's the solution. You all, please don't go running around like jumping off a bridge if you're sort of on the fence. All right. Just know that there is hope is what I want to say. And Access has amazing tools that can help you and keep people from making that choice and actually create their lives in a way where their lives are thriving, not just surviving. However, she did make that choice and she did contribute from the other side. And she did also get a lot of healing from the other side as a result of the kids and I doing these classes. And I'm not going to get into how I know that, but just trust me, I know. And that was a really cool day. But it took about like 8 years after the fact.
What is time? Time's not relevant.
Yeah. Not for them, it's not. Yeah.
So, for those of us who may desire to sort of step into this world a bit more and develop the muscle of receiving with entities, what's even required to even begin that?
The willingness. I mean, the
Mm.
willingness and the vulnerability, really. Those are the two key things. But, get yourself to a talk to the entities beginners class. There's facilitators all over the world. And then take the talk to the entities beginners class. I mean, that's where all the nuts and bolts of how to work with uh the spirit world without being at the effect of it. And part of the receiving is the willingness to clear them when that's appropriate, to communicate with them. Some entities require sort of like a conversation like we're having right now. There's also other sorts of things, like some people are aware of like hundreds of thousands of them where they get so overwhelmed. There's tools for that. You learn that in the beginning class, like how to deal with massive amounts of them. We talk about doorways, which we call portals from one dimension to the next, where entities are coming in and out like on a regular basis. And sometimes people can be portals where a lot of those people are sort of really, really plagued with a lot of mental health issues because they're portals. So we teach people how to close those portals and we get them to look at, hey, is this working for you or not? If it is, great, keep it. Enjoy being a portal. But if it's not, again, we have tools and methods that can help change that for you so you can actually have an easier life. And then what else? And in doing all that, that is part of the receiving, right? In the communicating, in the clearing. It's also part of the cooperation with them that we do. So the willingness to say yes to the spirit world is also part of the receiving process.
Beautiful.
And the key in all of it is for you to be the boss entity in the scenario. You just happen to have a body. That's the only difference. When our bodies decide to go away, our being is still there. We then now become an entity. We just happen to be an entity right now with a body. No different. And how many of you maybe remember when you were an entity without a body, you try to get your loved one's attention, and nobody would pay attention to you. How do you feel now when nobody pays attention to you now? Does it piss you off a little bit? So could you imagine how the ones who are trying to get your attention feel? No, I know that sounds weird, but one of the things that really helped me, again, I'll go back to at the time when the kid's mom died. It was the day we buried her. I'll never forget when the pastors, like, the boys had dug the hole actually, because it was just like her ashes, right? They dug a hole like this big and I don't know that deep. And they should, I'm like having like a beyond moment. Like I'm in, like, is this our life? Is this like really fucking happening right now? It's like, this is so bizarre, you know? And she was only 30 at the time when she did it. And right after we put her ashes down in the ground and fill up the, the put the dirt back in to fill it up, the pastor's like, she's rejoicing with the Lord right now. I was like, what? Rejoicing with the Lord? She's 30 years old. Her kids just dug a hole and stuck her ashes in it. You're telling me she's dancing with God right now? All happy and shit? I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. So that was the first time I was like, you know, I think you take yourself wherever you go. And they don't just mean that when you have a body. And if I live here and I move to Colombia, I'm like, I'm gonna move to Colombia to become more happy. No, you take your shit wherever you go. Well, that happens. I learned, and I had the awareness before access, that happens even after you die. Oops. So you might as well deal with your shit now because you're gonna have to deal with it after in one way or another. So
Mm.
that's just what I found. And it wasn't until, oh my goodness, fast forward, I don't know, 3, 4 years by the time I got to an entities class from the time that we buried her. And it basically said just because they died and don't have a body doesn't make them all of a sudden all conscious and all knowing. So however they were when they had the bodies, could it be how they were when they're a ghost? And I'm like, so that means I can contribute to them. I can contribute awareness to different spirits and stuff like that, as they can contribute awareness to us, right? If we're willing to listen and receive. So that kind of blew me away. But the only reason why I was like, you know what? That's really light because I know that she was sad that day and had been sad for years after her choice. I know that. Did she get relief maybe from like what her brain and mind were doing? Maybe, but I know she was still struggling even as a ghost. I just know it. And it took a while for her to get the healing. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling in these 10 seconds at this point.
No, it's beautiful, and it's such an incredible invitation to a different possibility and a different level of awareness, especially this time of year where, people may be grieving over lost loved ones or being away from family or just stressed or overwhelmed in general from their awareness and not really knowing what to do with it, or, just
Yeah.
how to be with it. And so that being said, like, what's one thing you would like people to know about receiving with entities that maybe they haven't considered before that could open up some ease, especially during this time of the year?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I like what you said about like how they're being with it. Like, so here's the thing. Okay, so one of the first things we learn in Access is that 99% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. Now, when I first heard that, I'm like, come on, are you kidding me? And I'm like, I'm pissed right now. I'm pissed about this thing right here. I'm pissed. I'm angry at this pen. Okay, it's my anger. I know I'm angry at this pen because this pen's an asshole. It's my anger, right? So but then I started looking at it. I'm like, right? And it took me really like many years of doing access to sort of start looking at that as like a legitimate possibility. But at first, I'm like, I don't know, man. Come on. I'm the one who's thinking, and I can feel my heart rate beating faster because I'm scared about something, blah, blah, blah. So, what I suggest is, again, with every thought, feeling, emotion that you're having, one of the things we teach you is to ask, who does this belong to, right? And if 99% of the time it's never yours, well, then who the fuck does it belong to, right? Now, sometimes you may know, but sometimes you may not know. And then one of the things we ask is it someone else's or something else? And if you get sort of like a ping that it's someone else's, then the other question is to ask, someone with a body or without? Okay. And what's really cool is, let's say you are grieving, or let's say you're scared or feeling lost, and you have this sense that it's someone without a body. It could be your body's way, your perceiving's way of letting you know what's going on in that entity's universe. Maybe they're the one who's grieving during the holidays. Maybe they're the one who's still lost even after they've left their bodies. Maybe they're the ones who are feeling like overly obligated to take care of the family, but they can't because they don't have a physical body anymore. So if these are kind of things that are coming up in your world that you're feeling, none of it may belong to you. But if you're feeling it, you may want to use that as different clues as to what's going on in their world, and then have the willingness to have a conversation. Be like, hey, what are you scared about? Or what are you frustrated about? Or what's the anger here? And we actually teach you those things in the Talk to the Entities tools, of like how to actually speak with them in a way that contributes to them. And at the end of the day, it contributes to you. You know why? Because you're not feeling like shit anymore. You were able to change it energetically because you were being present with the actual awarenesses that you were having that you thought belonged to you, but it belonged to them. So how do you be with it? You be with it by whatever you're thinking either belongs to someone with a body or without, or most likely the earth. I'm just keeping it very elementary in these 10 seconds. Okay? So that's
Awesome.
how you bees with it.
Thank you so much for that. And like really quick too, like I had this really interesting experience this morning with my body and my car actually. So I got this new car like 6 months ago, and it's been this incredible contribution to the expansion of my whole life. And it's that female time of the month. So I had menstrual cramps, and I just was talking to my car and like expressing my gratitude for it. And I was also like, I wonder how I can have more communion with you. And I was speaking to the entity of my car. And as soon as I said that, it was like my whole body melted into the seat and my menstrual cramps went away like that. It was
Wow.
really interesting, like just
Cool.
totally gone. And so it's like, I'm so grateful for these tools and the different ways we get to be with them and with all different types of entities. And so I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to wrap up with around that.
No, that was great. That was a perfect example of who does it belong to and having an awareness of the something else. And you got that it was the entity of your car. You know what I mean? Which is awesome. And just having that gratitude, sort of like puts you in this sort of space of being with the consciousness of the car, which is great. I talk to everything. I mean, shit, I talk to fucking this little bowl here, you know? I talk to everything because everything has a consciousness to it.
Beautiful.
So nice job.
Thank you. I learned from you.
Yeah.
And you have this like really beautiful way of being so pragmatic with the tools in general, and especially the
Not so
tools
boring.
of entities. Huh?
Not so boring. So
Boring?
pragmatic.
Pragmatic just means doing what fucking works. And I love that
Yeah.
because, like, you talk to everything like it's a thing, like it's a person, and it's really not boring. You make it really fun. So let me make that clear. It's not
Well,
boring.
well, thanks. Well, everything, because I didn't realize that everything was talking to me.
Hmm.
And it was like, no wonder why I had ADD, because I'm like, everything's trying to get my attention. And it's not just like people like us, you know what I mean? It's, yeah, you have ghosts, you have your furniture, you have the wall in your house that wants to get knocked down to create more space, or the house is asking for it, you know what I mean? Your animals, if you have cats, dogs, whatever, the earth, it's like, good Lord, there's like constant communication all the time. We always have awareness, and we have a awareness about a gazillion different things. So if we're not really being aggressively present with what we're aware of, we become at the effect of it. So, and
Awesome.
I just shared like what I did. Like I didn't even know, like, it's not like I jumped in with that, like something about access. I'm going to share just the way it was in the beginning. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is bullshit or not. I've done so many friggin' modalities and stuff. It's like, here we go again, another modality. It's whatever. And I'm going to just go learn the bars. I'm not going to do the clearing statement because I'm not going to say shorts and boys. That's weird. I don't even know what that means. It's like, I'm like, I want to say shorts and boys out loud to people and pock and pod. What the hell is that shit? But so I would use a tool that I was like, this is the problem that I would like to work on. And I would just take a tool and use it. And all of a sudden, things just started loosening up. They just started changing. I started getting happier. I was giggling and laughing like I was a little kid. And like when your uncle or like, someone's tickling you under the arms and stuff and you can't stop laughing. Like I was having those kinds of laughs, like getting body processes and receiving the bars. And it was just amazing. I had a lot of crying moments too, but I'm like, oh shit, maybe there's something to this stuff. So maybe like 3, 4, or 5 months later, I started doing the clearing statement. Like I was definitely an in the closet access person, probably for like almost the first year. And then I came out of the closet and I'm like, yes, I am a bars facilitator, but for the first year of access, I was totally in the closet because I was like, I didn't know if I was going to hell or not because I still had a lot of the church's points of view rolling around in my head. But it wasn't really like, it was just more or less like I knew what their point of view was going to be. And that was very much in my universe, and part of why she killed herself was because she had their points of view in her head. You get what I mean? And it was like, wow. So, yeah. So I think I just started using the tools. And so when I share these things in a pragmatic way, it's because I would wake up cranky. I would wake up miserable and depressed. And then I would ask, what tool can I use here? And I didn't have these things memorized. So I would open up a book and anything that went ping, I would use that tool for either 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. Whenever it no longer read for me energetically, then I would move on to the next thing I wanted to work on. And then I would just start to have these experiences, these changes. And so a lot of what you're hearing me sharing with you guys is like everyday life stuff of me using the tools and it working. And I didn't even like believe in it. That's the thing. I didn't even believe in access when I first got to it. And then you have, oh God, I have so many funny stories for y'all. And then you get all the fucking crazy people that come to access, right? And make everything so fucking significant. But you're just starting out, so you think they know what they're doing, right? But they, you go out to lunch with these crazy motherfuckers and they go into like trauma and drama and significance about whatever they're aware of. Sometimes they'd be like, oh, your wife, she's suffocating me right now. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like something she would do. But I'm like, okay, maybe she is, I'm like, there's a lot of crazy motherfuckers. So if you're new to access and shit, follow your knowing, use the tools. The magic's in the tools, not so much the people. There are magical people in access, don't get me wrong, but just if you're gonna always look to the people to make your choice, don't do it. You'll be disappointed every fucking time, I promise. Lean into the tools, use the tools, use the tools, use the fucking tools, and all of a sudden things will start changing.
Thank you so, so, so much for that. That's a beautiful way to wrap it up. If you would like more ease in your life in every area, including with entities in the spirit world, use the tools. And if you haven't taken a Talk to the Entities class yet, beginner's class, again, like Dr. Anthony said, there are facilitators all over the world. And he has one coming up next weekend as well. If you would like to come and join and receive more of his very funny stories, his irreverence, and his pragmatics with these amazing tools.
And very inappropriate stories. Yes.
Always. It wouldn't be a class with Dr. Anthony if there weren't inappropriate stories.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much again for this beautiful gift.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye, everybody.